break things up on the run back in towards the finish.
Yeah, it's absolutely crucial, that run into the finishing circuits, as you say, a crosswind. And when you hit the circuits, it's really hard to get back to that potential front group if it has splits. So I think we'll see today a lot of the teams potentially that don't have a super sprinter trying to break it up on that crosswind section into the circuit.
Yeah, so that's the route that the riders have ahead of them. As we said, the Battle of the North is coming in 2021, but they've got this big battle ahead of them today. We riders, as we said, are already off from racing. We will go to live pictures. It was just really over the top of the second QOM of the day, and it was just starting to really go off. Soraya Paladin was up there, wasn't she? Christine Majerus as well was attacking on the descent. So we'll go to live pictures, and we'll bring you up to speed with where they are. But 50.9 kilometres to go. As you can see, it's a pretty wet day for the riders out there. They have an intermediate sprint that comes at 40.3 kilometres to go. Let's just bring you up to speed with where we are so far. So the first intermediate sprint of the day, that came at 104.5 kilometres to go. That was taken by Lisa Klein ahead of Emily Moberg and Hannah Barnes. 3, 2 and 1 points. And interestingly, no, in the road book, no bonus seconds on the intermediate sprints. That's quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, very unusual. And to be honest, I don't know why teams would sprint out there, potentially to practice their lead outs for the finish, see how riders are feeling, if they've got like a plan A and plan B for the sprint in the final. That's the only reason that I can think of as to why they would actually go for the sprints if there's no time bonuses up on the line.
Yeah, so on to the QOM1. That came at 94.8 kilometres to go. That was taken by Lucy Kennedy ahead of Rosella Ratto and Soraya Paladin. So that was the order over the top of the first QOM of the day. We then went on to QOM2 at 58.6 kilometres to go, and that was taken by Soraya Paladin ahead of Elena Emiliusik, with Lucy Kennedy and Rosella Ratto up there on that one. So that's, again, you can tell quite early in a race, can't you, who the riders are that are targeting that QOM. And already we can see on the opening day that, you know, with Lucy Kennedy, Rosella Ratto and Soraya Paladin all chasing those points.
Yeah, for sure. And it gets established quite quickly, as you say, and it's normally only a handful of people that are going for that QM jersey after the first stage. Yet you can see, obviously, Lucy Kennedy, Rosella Ratto, Soraya Paladin, as you say, Amy Lusik's now coming into the mix. But I think it'll be a battle between those three after today to keep going throughout the stages.
So BTC City Ljubljana going on the attack. So looks like Ursa Pintar to me. Everyone's got their big rain jackets on this one. We'll get a closer look, but you can see just how they're grinding to get off the front here.
Yeah, this is a really, really brave move because it looks like she has got a slight cross headwind, and it's super, super hard to attack into a headwind. It's really, really easy to sit behind someone when there's a block headwind. So if the gap gets established, then it's harder to then get across. And you can see a rider coming over. I think that's Ina Hine. It's really tough to see with the raincoats on and the lack of visibility, but she's just clawing her way up to this Ljubljana rider here, and they've got a pretty significant gap behind.
Let's just run you through your teams so that you know who you're watching out for on this one. So CCC Liv, they're here. They've got Mariana Vos, defending champion. She's here. She's got Jean Corva, Marta Lachrian, Marcus and Anishka Stalionak and Valerie DeMay. She's here. Team Virtu, we're really in from Team Virtu watching out for Marta Bastianelli. She's got Barbara Guarishki in there as well, who gave her an absolutely phenomenal lead out to win Vårgårda at the weekend. Bull Dolmans, always watch out for Bull Dolmans. So Caroline Canuel, Amelie Deirdricks and Christine Majerus has been on the attack on this one. Exciting rider as well, Jip van den Bos, who's had a good season. Canyon SRAM, I know a lot of you big fans of Canyon SRAM. Elena Miliusuk, you've heard us mention, along with Hannah Barnes. Alice Barnes is also here as well. Elena Cecchini and Lisa Klein with Kasia Nuvedoma. Looking at them, Canyon SRAM, they've brought the A-team here for this one again.
Yeah, and it is a split team. They are over in Colorado, so they'll be racing in a few hours' time with another team out there. But I would say this is their A-team. They're a bit of a younger team out in Colorado. They have Tiffany Cromwell there, who is a super, super domestique. But here, I think they're really going to be going for that overall for Cassia Nieuwedome. They've got both the Barnes sisters who are going really, really well. Obviously, Alice is in the national champs jersey, and they are a super team. I think it would be nice for them that you don't see them winning that many races. I think that this is one that could really suit them. Cassia was 5th in last year's Tour of Norway, and again we'll be looking ahead to the World Championships, but I don't think these conditions will suit Cassia. She's a really small, slight rider, so today she just needs to think about staying safe, staying warm, and staying well, because in these conditions it's so easy to get too cold, get ill, and it's a stage race. It's a long, long way. So yeah, I think they'll have a really great race.
Inside 50 kilometres to go. Team Tibco, Silicon Valley Bank. Team Tibco have come to here. They went to the Tour of Scotland. They had just 4 riders for Vårgårda. They've brought in a couple of stagiaires here for this one. So they've brought in Anna Henderson and Rebecca Durrell from Great Britain. They picked them up en route through Scotland. So just back up Alison Jackson, Charlotte Lucas and Shannon Malseed. So both Anna and Bex have had a really strong season domestically UK, so really good to see them getting an opportunity here with Tibco.
Yeah, brilliant to see, especially as a fellow British rider. I've actually been doing some commentary on the women's UK scene, and both those riders have had an outstanding season. Anna Henderson won the overall in the women's series in the UK, and Rebecca Durrell had a few wins in her own outright, even though they're riding for the same team. So this will be a really good chance for them to race and step up into the Women's World Tour, the UCI races. So it's great that Tibco have given this opportunity to them, and they're going to have to just grasp it and get stuck in.
Definitely. They BTC City Ljubljana, so Evgenia Bujak with Anastasia Kushina and Hannah Nielsen, Erska Pinto, Rosella Ratto and Hayley Simmons. That is that team. Dolcini Van Eyck, they've got the national champion of Belgium in there, the Jessie van den Bulke, she is in that team. High Tech Products, mainly Norwegian team, with the likes of Vita Heine and Ingrid Lervik, along with Marta Taliaferro. So just going through, it's Anastasia Kushina, my apologies. That is the rider that's on the attack here, number 152, the 24-year-old rider, 4th in San Sebastian. So she was up there in that San Sebastian Classic. That's been a great addition to the calendar this year. FDJ, Nouvelle Aquitaine Futuroscope, their team Stina Borgley, who again comes into this race with some great form, 3rd overall in the Tour of Scotland. Lottie Becker is here as well. Mitchelton Scott. When we come to a race like this with Mitchelton Scott, Sarah Roy, it's the sort of race that Sarah Roy, the climbs aren't too severe, are they?
No, and I was looking at this lineup and it's really, really interesting. They've been super dominant throughout this season. They won the Giro. They had such a strong team there with Lucy Kennedy, obviously Annemiek van Vleuten, who won in absolutely fine form. But this team's really versatile. They're super, super strong throughout with no real specific rider who you'd say they're going to go for them. But like you say, Sarah Roy is a fantastic sprinter. She knows where to put herself and she can get over some of these climbs. So it'll be really interesting to see how their tactics are going to be played out.
So Anastasia Kushina is the rider on the offensive. Team Movistar, they are here as well. The familiar, I'm sure we'll see the familiar sight of Aude Bionic getting on the attack. Mavi Garcia is back from that broken collarbone that she had before the Giro Rosa. Shayla Gutierrez, good sprinter Shayla Gutierrez as well. And again, just she had that sort of big jump, didn't she, a few years ago when she won a stage of the Giro Rosa, and she's got pigeonholed a bit as a sprinter, just needs to sort of find her groove again.
Yeah, totally. And I actually rode with Shayla in the team of Silence in 2017. And that was the year that she won the stage of the Giro. Like you say, I was actually in a break with her at the time when she won. And that was a massive breakthrough for her. But unfortunately, she's been suffering with quite a lot of allergy problems, asthma problems. So I think she just needs to kind of find herself again. Like you say, potentially come out of that pigeonholed role of a sprinter. She's quite a small, slight rider. And I think she could actually be a lot more versatile and be able to get over some of the lumps. So I think if she was in her top form and she wasn't suffering with potential allergy problems, this could be a race that really suits her.
Dutch rider Leticia Paternoster here from Team Sunweb, just back at the team car. You can see Christina's now 27 seconds. They've given her an advantage. The Team Sunweb rider just back at the team car. Good opportunity for the director sportif as well. Just have a little bit of a chat as well with the rider. Just discuss. They've got radios, but it's good sometimes just to have a chat face to face, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And they can see how the race is panning out. They can potentially see how other riders, other teams are going into this race, and can kind of have a little bit of a guesswork in terms of their tactics. So that was Floortje talking to Hans, their sport director, just probably, playing things out, seeing what they're going to do coming into that finishing circuit. Sunweb are always a team will have a really good game plan going into these races, and Floortje was obviously getting rid of a piece of her clothing, and that's a real battle in a stage like this where the weather conditions are super wet and windy but not super cold. You don't want to overheat, but at the same time you don't want to get drenched to the bone where you do get really cold. So yeah, maybe it's drying up a little bit if she's getting rid of that jacket, or maybe they're getting ready to launch something in the crosswind.
She's just as tough as nails, isn't she, Leticia Paternoster? Definitely. Trek Segafredo, and I know a lot of you big fans of Trek Segafredo. A lot of people looking at Leticia Paternoster here, the Italian sprinter, European Under-23 champion. She won that in a kick as well. So she's here. Unfortunately, we don't get to see a European Champions jersey. No. And apologies if you're a regular viewer here on GCN Racing. And I do bore everyone to tears with this fact that the Under-23 jerseys, we've just had the European Championships, and yet we never get to see them race in those jerseys. And, I don't know about you. You've never been here before, so I can't bore you with this fact. But I think that they should change the Under-23 main part of the jersey and let them race in it, or just rely on the fact that us as commentators, we know which rider's which. Yeah. And just let them ride. Does it matter if it's because we don't have an under-23 classification in women's pro cycling, do we?
No, we don't. And that's really interesting, because actually maybe they shouldn't even have a under-23 European Championship if there's no classification for those riders. But I think if they've won it in their own right, they should be able to have it somewhere on the jersey, even if it's on their arms or, on part of the jersey, rather than not letting them at all. But Leticia Paternoster is another really interesting rider. She's coming from a track background. She's got a massive social media presence, and she's one that I think's got a really bright future ahead of her. She won the first race in the Tour Down Under, and now I think being part of the Trek Segafredo team, she's in a really good setup there, and she's going to get lots of opportunities to race, and I think they will be going for her on a stage like today.
Yeah, she's from Cles in Italy. If you were with us for the Tour of the Alps, it's the town that Maurizio Fondriast is from as well. So she's had I'm sure she's had plenty of guidance. Their drops are here, the British team. So they have Abby May Parkinson in there, Manon Lloyd in that team as well. Natalie Redman is there. Abby May, young Brit. I know you know her well. She's raced. We've seen her. We saw her in the Over Energy Women's Tour get caught just in sight of the finish. I think everyone was just willing her to just hang on. Abby May, potentially again, she's a rider that she's not far away from taking her first big pro win, I don't think.
No, and I do have invested interest as we Rowan King coach Abby, and she's made massive improvements this year. Unfortunately, hasn't had a lot of racing to be able to really show how well she is going, but again has really stepped up. Again, she's only 21, and I think because she's been racing a long time, people forget that, but she's had some really good results. She's been a lot more aggressive in the way she's been riding this year to try and take a bit more of an opportunity, and she's hoping for a good result in this race. So I'm hoping obviously that she will have one as well. I know she loves these weather conditions, which you could say crazy, but she comes from Yorkshire, so she's very much used to it, which is really great. She gets out and embraces this. And I think, you can almost lose the race when you look out the window and you dread the rain and the wind. If you can look out and think, right, bring it on, it's the same for everyone, I'm going to get stuck in, then actually you've got one up on a lot of riders.
So just 10 seconds now, 42.8 to go. B-Pink, the team of B-Pink are here as well. The Norwegian national team, and fairly mixed team. For Team Sunweb, Corinne Rivera. No, she's got a lot of fans out there. They have got a strong team. Suzanne Anderson, Leah Kirkman, Francisca Koch, in the team. Juliette Lebus, Floria Mackay and Corin Rivera. That's the team. For Alechia Bellini, Chloe Hosking is here as well. She's backed up by Romy Casper, Soraya Paladin, who's been going for the QOMs, Karen Swinkles and Eriona Mine. For Park Hotel Valkenburg, Lorena Wiebes, third. She, again, revelation of the year for me, Lorena Wiebes. At the weekend in Vårgårda, she just started to look a little bit fatigued.
Yeah, and she has really, really done an incredible job this year for the Park Hotel Valkenburg team. She's had some incredible results, starting off with her first win with Knocker Dames race in Belgium, and then she went on to become second in Flanders, in Gent-Wevelgem, an absolutely outstanding position. She won the youth classification in Healthy Aging Tour. The Tour of Yorkshire, won a stage there. She's done a lot. She won every stage of the Tour of Chongmin Island in China, so she's also done a lot of travelling. So I'm not surprised, like you say, that she looked a little bit tired in Sweden, but again, a super sprinter, and one that I definitely wouldn't count out for today's stage.
It's a good effort for Christina. It's unfortunately the gap has been brought back. You see somewhere moving up on the outside. Thanks for your comments as well. I'll do my best to try and keep on top of the comments. Bob Butcher saying hi from Poland. South a cyclist as well. Bob Ferguson saying he think he would have given up and gone home on weather like this. Which is why he never became a pro. Yes, Bob. And Lars Munch. Yes, Lars. Hi, Lars. So Lars didn't like... I mispronounced Stina Borgli the other day. So Lars is my Norwegian pronunciation, please. So thanks, Lars, for the correction. And as you can tell, I have listened to it. I do my best. Sometimes in lots of different languages, we get our "ers" and "ers" and everything like that. So thank you, Lars, for your correction.
I think you do really well.
He did I did upset him the other day. So sorry, Lars. Thank you for your pronunciation and your input as well. And Bob Ferguson again. Is it the TV or did the leader have a very low cadence? Yeah, it's the wind, just riding into the wind. So thanks for your comments over on Facebook. Stewie, I think it's Stewie watching over on GCN on YouTube as well. Gore Bike Heart as well. It's sunny over there. Thanks for that. And Bairdy as well. Lovely weather. So say hi and you can get involved. I will do my best to keep a track of your input and your comments. Thanks for being with us. If you are just tuning in and you're wondering where we are, this is the Ladies Tour of Norway stage at 128.4 kilometers from Åsgårdstrand to Horten, and we have three finishing circuits of 7.6 kilometers. And intermediate sprint to come in Holmestrand, 40.3 kilometres. And Elena Emiliusuk is that going on the attack again. Now we're seeing a few little digs now off the front. This is the intermediate sprint now.
Looks like Emily Moberg from the Virtu cycling team with, I think it's one of the younger Canyon SRAM riders leading out Lisa Klein. I can see the German stripes on her arm coming into this second intermediate sprint.
So Lisa Klein just gets up there, and a little move there. Lisa Klein, if you were with us for the European Championships, Lisa Klein got herself up there into that breakaway with Amy Peters. But Lisa Klein looks like she's just going to have a little roll off the front here, potentially.
It's really interesting when you see the sprints happening. It's really important, even if you're not a sprinter, to be up there near the front, because that is a crucial part of the bike race where small moves can get away. It was the same on the track. If you came into a points race and you went for the points, you had to keep going, because that is when you can get counter-attacks happening. And you can see here Christina Majerus from the Bolsdomans team is trying to keep this pressure on to try and split the peloton up. And
you can see again, going on from your comment earlier on, Christine now is suited, ready for battle. No thick rain jackets now for Christine. She's a cross rider as well, and for a rider from Luxembourg. I think if anyone ever beats Christine in the Luxembourg National Championships, it could be a travesty, because I don't think we've ever seen her out of that jersey.
I know it is. I think she's won it over 10 times. Am I right in saying that? It's absolutely incredible, and definitely a role model for a lot of the riders in Luxembourg for sure. And like you say, super tough. Obviously racing cross in the winter makes you very thick-skinned. I don't know if I could do that, but a super domestique for Bowles over the years, but now she's actually becoming quite a leader within the team. Now that the pure leaders, the Lizzie Lizzie's still got obviously Anna in the team, but this could be a race for her.
Definitely. Now we're getting some attacks going in here from LA Cipollini.
Looks like Anna Pitchler.
Yeah.
From the Trek Segafredo team, hot on her heels as well. A small gap, but it looks like it's going to be reeled in quickly. It looks like Sunweb are not up for this, being able to stay away.
No, not at all. I think it's Diana Penuela, who's the LA Cipollini rider that's gone off the front, the Colombian rider. And a Plecter as well, you can see there, just not contributing to this one. Just again, thanks for checking in over on GCN Racing on YouTube. Alan Kuick, I hope I said that right. Hi from Single Biker Chicky. Maybe we can teach our colleagues how to pronounce Mathieu van der Poel. Have I tried? I think I pronounced Mathieu van der Poel right. I hope so. We do work very hard on pronunciations as commentators. I do hope, sometimes I know we do insult various nations around the world, and we are British as well. We're not known fantastically for pronunciation, but we do our best. That was the intermediate sprint. Just a real little replay of that one there. It was Emily Moberg from Lisa Klein, Elena Emiliustuk, and Hannah Barnes. Those were the riders off the front of that one. 4, 3, 2 and 1 points are on offer at the finish. And intermediates bonus seconds 8, 10, 8 and 6 we've got at the finish line in terms of bonus seconds rather than the usual 10, 6 and 4 that we normally see. That keeps things quite tight there as well.
It does, very, very tight. And I think that actually makes for super exciting racing. But that was super interesting. You had 3 Canyon SRAM riders in the top 4 in that sprint. I hope they're saving someone for the finish. And if they are, it looks like it might be Alice Barnes. You haven't seen much of her yet in the British National Champs jerseys. I've spotted her a few times near the middle of the peloton towards the back, just biding her time. But they were definitely there working for Lisa Klein. That was Hannah Barnes and Amia Lusick trying to lead her out into that intermediate sprint. And Alice Barnes is just sitting back. And my pick is that will be the leader for today's finish.
Yeah, it could be an interesting one. The British national champion. Just give you out of the 2 teams as well. Valcar, now that they're just attacking at the front, and Rally UHC are here as well. So those are the full complement of teams that you will be watching and cheering for. Lauren Kitchen, just going back to the team car here. And you can see riders all the time just going back to the team cars. I'm glad that it's unusual as well sometimes in this weather to see the riders going back to the cars. Marta Bastianelli just comes back up. She's been back for a little chat with the sport director and getting in there.
Yeah, you have to pick your time really, really well when you are going to go back to the team cars, to potentially have a chat with the director, or like we saw earlier with Floortje Mackay, taking off some clothing, picking up bottles for the team, because if it's a crucial time in the race, it can be really, really hard to then get back on. I actually learnt my lesson in the women's tour last year, where I went back to the car at the worst moment possible, and I had to chase for about 10 kilometres to get back on. And in a stage race, that is not what you want. You're wasting energy. So they'll pick their moments correctly. Both of those riders there, Lauren Kitchen from FDJ and Marta Bastianelli, both super experienced riders, and I'm sure they're back in this peloton, and that didn't take up too much of their energy.
You'll find this out when you become a director sportif, because I know you will at one point. It's quite lonely sometimes back there as a sport director, especially if none of your riders come back all day. You just feel like, surplus to requirements a lot of the time. You're on the radio, but most of the time you don't know if your riders have taken their earpieces out. But when you don't see a rider all day, sometimes, because you're like, I want to do this, I need to get them to do this, and chat with that. Because sometimes when you're on the road with your mechanical gear, you can get bored to tears of each other after a while. So when a rider comes back for a little chat, it's great. But again, just back at the team car, Mariana Voss, again, just getting rid of the arm warmers and everything. This shows, again, just trying as a rider, when it's so, we're non-pros and no one who's ever been in this position, but we see Mariana now, you see what the weather's like, just getting rid of the arm warmers, any rain jackets. It's a psychological thing in a way that you're ready to race.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I hated wearing too much on the bike, because you don't feel like you're getting ready to race, like you say, or racing when you're all wrapped up like you're on a winter training ride in November. And I know Marianne Vos, that is the same for her. So she's totally stripped off now of any excess clothing, and she knows this is where the race is going to kick off. They're coming into the crosswind section. They're going to be entering the finishing circuit soon. She knows she's not going to be cold. So that was a perfect time, you know, just to pick the lull before the storm, as it were, to get rid of her clothing. Then she can speak to the DS, Jeroen, again, in terms of any race tactics, how she's feeling, and really set herself up for the finish.
Just to give you an idea of last year, so the Ladies Tour of Norway now, sometimes we'd had a prologue, and sometimes in the past we had a criterium which wasn't included in the overall. Last year we had a team time trial which you rode, which wasn't included in the GC. Somewhere took that from Mitchelton, Scott and Savello, and Wow Deals, as you were with last year, were fifth. But the overall, the final general classifications, we said Marianne Vos dominated last year. She took the race ahead of Emilia Farlene by 22 seconds, with Corin Rivera third at 33. Gives you some names that were up there. Christine Majerus was fourth. Cassia Nuviadoma was fifth. Aude Bianique was sixth at 46. Ava Björman was up there in seventh. Floortia Mackay was eighth. Alison Jackson ninth at 59 seconds. Lucinda Brand 10th at a minute. So that gives you some names that are up there. Emilia Farlene, such a shame that one of our favourite Swedish riders as well, she's not here, trying to come back after the effects of a bad crash where she had some bad concussion.
Yeah, it's such a shame, because she had such a phenomenal season last year, where she topped it off at the World Championship, where she was fourth in Innsbruck. And I think she would have had such motivation for this year. And unfortunately, she is out. And this was, I know, her favourite section of racing. In Sweden, she has so much support on the side of the road. All you can hear are people shouting her name. And again, it's the same. She loves it here in Norway. And she had such a great race last year. Second, I think she was running on kind of motivation, morale, after having so much support in Sweden. So yeah, it's a real shame not to see her at her favourite race this year, and obviously wish her all the best for her recovery.
A few more of you getting involved over on GCN Racing on YouTube. Biker Chicky just saying, yes, it is. My pronunciation of Vanderpool is right. Thanks for that. Oz Cyclist as well, watching from Adelaide, South Australia. Big shout out to Nat Redmond, riding for Drops. Garrett Irvin watching from Thailand. Thanks for pausing. Eric Buster, is it possible to have some background sound on the race footage? We're trying our best with that. There's a bit of an issue with that one, so I apologise, Eric. We're trying to get that one back. In Kirkwood as well, also watching from Adelaide. Go Nat Redmond. So Nat Redmond, a lot of fans out there getting behind her. Mitchell Vavat, Nat Redmond, comes from cyclocross as well. I got an email about an Aussie cyclocross the other day, so I'll do my best to try and do something with that one. Matthew Cox watching from Sydney in Australia. Skippy Kangaroo, g'day. There, and watching Loretta Hansen and Loisa Gabato from the Philippines. Thanks for checking in, all of you, from all over the world.
Wow, it's
amazing. Great.
Yeah, amazing to see so many of you watching.
It is. And if you are going to stay with us for Colorado a little bit later on, there is, because of the way the host broadcast are working, there might be some signal blackouts, or there will be some. They're telling us that now. So if you want to get involved over on Twitter, it's at Danny King 1 on Twitter, and at Marty Mac TV, and at GCN Tweets, and also on the chat forums as well. We'll have a bit of an Ask Danny later in between the race action. So we're just kind of teeing that up now, and I'll try and throw in a few competitions and that kind of thing as well, just to get us going. So we will have that a little bit later on. So I'm pre-warning if you're staying with us for that one. Team Sunweb and CCC Live very much towards the front here. We had that breakaway, which was really the only break that's managed to stick so far. Anastasia Kursina was the rider, the 24-year-old rider that got away in that one. So that's all we've had so far. I'm sure a few riders now will attack on the run-in towards the finish. Norway's one of those places. We've got the attack going in here from High Tech Products. A little move just going off the front. So just trying to get clear here. So the high-tech products team, so Norwegian team. This is one of the most historic teams in the women's pro peloton of high-tech products. But you can see the wind really buffeting that rain jacket, and Sunweb just not letting anything go here.
Yeah, the wind does look super strong, and between CCC, Liv and Sunweb, they're obviously controlling things together now on the front for their leaders. So that will be Marianne Vos for Team CCC, and I think they will be sprinting for Corin Rivera. And you can see how much this has really strung it out, and you would not want to be on the back foot here having to chase, especially with the wind and the potential that it could split up into echelon formation, which is where you get gaps within the peloton because there's only a lack of road and they rotate into the wind and that forms the echelon. So it's really interesting here. This is Corin Rivera on the front for Team Somewhere in the middle of your screen, and again Jess Allen, I think that is from Mitchelton Scott, and Jana Korova from CCC Liv, really trying to keep the pressure high at the front to try and split this up.
Yeah, Audrey Cordon-Ragot just rolls through. Here comes Amelie Deirdrickson in the Danish champions red and white jersey. Christine Majerus, the Luxembourg champion. Sarah Roy looking very close to the front here for Mitchelton Scott. A few riders down the back here, so you can see really battling with the wind. A few hardy Norwegian souls out along the side. So rider with a bit of an issue at the back here. So just looks like Francesca Patare has got a bit of an issue with the bike. Not a great time as well to have a mechanical. But Audrey Cordon-Ragot for Trek Segafredo in the blue and white through the Century picture. Just trying to keep control here. Here comes Majerus through. For Team Sunweb, I always find it... It's fine. I was find it quite interesting when you see Corin Rivera as a sprinter. She just sometimes, even if she's protected, you see her kind of rolling through almost to the front. It almost looks like from time to time she just likes to get her nose onto the front of the peloton, and rather than just hiding away completely.
Yeah, I think a lot of riders are really different in terms of how they like to ride if they are a leader, and I was actually quite similar. I had a couple of chances to ride for myself last year, but I was one that always wanted to stay near the front, stay out of trouble, and feel like I was still in control. And I didn't have that confidence actually that I could get myself to the front very quickly in a technical part of the bike race like someone like Marianne Vos. This is Audrey Cordon-Ragot having a go for Trek Segafredo. This looks like a really good move actually. She's a super strong time trial rider, and it looks like Hannah Barnes from Canyon Stram straight onto her. She knows how strong she is and that she doesn't want to let a rider like that get away.
Yeah, both these. And just see Hannah Barnes rolling through but not committed. Has a little look back. And again, it's a good way to kind of try and explain. Again, Audrey fully going for it. Hannah just kind of rolling through and almost, I call it kind of running interference for taking something from her. I think they use that term in American football. But yeah, she's just kind of almost there, just put the parachute out and dragged Audrey back into the peloton.
Yeah, she did. And it all depends on the team's tactics for this race. It looks like Canyon Stram do want it to come down to a bunch sprint, and maybe Trek aren't 100% confident in their sprinter, and they've got a couple of riders where they've given them a free rein towards the end of the race. Someone like Audrey, who we saw actually in La Course, who did a fantastic attack effort towards the end of the race. Take that opportunity. She won't win a bike race if it comes down to a bunch sprint, so her only opportunity is to try and get in a breakaway. So that's obviously what she was trying to do there.
Lottie Becker just moving up on the right here in the blue of FDJ Aquitaine Nouvelle Futuroscope to give it its full name. And again, Lottie Becker, strong rider. Leah Kirschman on the front. Florentia Mackay right with her. Alessia Pellini. We just see Chloe Hosking there as well with the bright yellow jersey with the orange and black. No glasses on for Chloe Hosking. And again, you see with riders, Leah Kirschman, no glasses on here as well. Some riders prefer, clear lenses and that kind of things, but sometimes they just get too misted up and too much water.
Yeah, again, really, really individual. For me, I really suffered with my eyes, so I always had to wear a cap when it was raining. But you can see here, somewhere they are perfect at this. They are putting the hammer down, they've turned left, and this is a crucial part of the race. You could see the Alley rider looking after Chloe Hoskin. I think that was Romy Casper, because they knew that it was going to split. And you can already see this has been super strung out. There's gaps forming into the finishing circuit, massive crosswinds. And they've done a perfect job. They need a few more teammates up here to really, really try and split this. And you can see them coming up behind now.
Leah Kirschman out of that corner, absolutely gassed it onto this section with Leticia Paternoster here. You see Corin Rivera just coming up with the rest of Team Sunweb. You're seeing those little gaps now starting to open. Here's Ariana Mine, the champion of Japan. Trek Segafredo battling to try and get across that gap as well. It happens. You're just trying to, coming into that section, pre-planned a lot of the time. We know we're going to turn left. We saw Leticia Paternoster back at the team car. The director sportif in the car behind us say, look, when you get out of that left-hand turn, because you can now see that the gaps are starting to open.
Yeah, 100%. They would have known exactly what they were going to do. They might have had a little talk before the start, but then obviously weighed up how windy it actually was, and then made the call on the road. So when we saw Leticia Paternoster coming back to the team car, Hans, their sport director, would have said, yes, at this moment, this left-hand bend, you need to drill it. And they will have a set time where they go for, so maybe 10 kilometres, probably into the finishing circuit, where they commit to really breaking this up.
And you can see the second part of that group's also splitting.
Yeah, and it's super hard once there's a gap to then get across. So you really have got to commit. And if you can see echelons starting to form, you've got to get to the front. And if you're at the back, it is almost impossible. You could be the strongest rider out there on the road, but if you've missed that front split in wind like this, it is impossible to get back. And you can see now a group of maybe 20, 25 riders who are in this front group, and there's gaps everywhere, all over the road.
Oh, pain, agony and suffering. You can see what a day it has been here on the opening day of the Ladies Tour of Norway. Corin Rivera comes through. Look at this peloton now. It's absolutely fracturing under the pressure of Team Sunweb. Leticia Paternoster and Leah Kirschman opened the throttle out of that corner. Now you can see Trek Segafredo, Ruth Winder, the American national champion here. You can just see the Stars and Stripes jersey. Odbianik comes through for Team Movistar. And again, it's not just Sunweb now. You're seeing Trek Segafredo, Alicia Polini. They've all had a little look back. They know, because potentially on the opening day like this, you can eliminate a huge amount, when a race like this comes down to seconds, you can eliminate a huge number of your rivals.
Yeah, exactly. And if those sprinters are caught out in second, third groups, then you've just got to go for it, because yeah, it's a massive opportunity for those teams who aren't super confident in the sprint. You can see Chloe Hoskins, she'll be rubbing her hands together here. She is absolutely outstanding at getting into these moves when it comes to an echelon. She was amazing in the Tour of Qatar when I rode with her in Wiggle, and you can see her in here. Corin Rivera as well, another sprinter, but I can't see Marianne Vos, and that's a big surprise to me. She might be hiding in there somewhere, and I'm sure she is, but it'll be interesting to see if this does come back together when we start the finishing circuits, because I think, like I said before, when you get to the finishing circuits, if there's already gaps, when it's super technical, it's really, really hard then to close.
So now you can see this group really working well together. Again, Winder back up towards the front. So that, again, with Trek Segafredo, that kind of shouts that they might have Leticia Paternoster might have made it into this group. We know Amelie Deirdrickson's here. She rolls through to the front. So we're looking for the short sleeves of Marianne Vos. She probably is kind of the rider with the orange hair. She's here. The rider with the orange hair that's plonked right in the middle of this group here. You can see that the riders just battling to try and get back on. Lisa Klein we're seeing in there as well. Christine Majerus just coming up towards the front here. Here come Canyon Schramm now. So they're getting themselves into this position. So riders, and there's the back part of the peloton. There's that little group. I just think that looks like Abby May Parkinson coming across for drops as well. Yeah,
it did. And I just spotted her just before we made that slight turn in the road. And it looks like the front two small groups have merged now, and they have made junction with the back of that peloton. And if they can just hang on, then it looks like there will be two kind of strong formations of the peloton now. And unfortunately, if you are left in what we're seeing now, the back half, then it's going to be so hard to get back, because you will have riders represented in your team in the front, so there'll be no motivation to chase.
So you can see the Belgian national champion is in this back group here. So it really is all going off here. The Ladies Tour of Norway, 27.3 to go. Just a few more of you saying, a lot of you saying hello from over on the chat forums as well. Benjamin from Spain, Grumpy Ol from Norway checking in as well. So thanks for all of you for getting involved as well. Martin Bouchot's cheering on for the Dolcini Van Eyck's team with Micah Docks. So thanks for checking in as well. And Luke Potter as well for these splits. A shame the weather won't allow the helicopter to get up. Yes, you have to be safety first when it comes to flying helicopters in weather such as this. But thanks to so many of you getting in there. Marco van der Hout, got Erion Amine, Moses McCurdy on Facebook checking in from Guyana as well. So thanks all of you for getting aboard. You can see that the riders are all just screaming into the radios here. Here's Marta Bastianelli, and Abby May Parkinson has just latched on to the back of this front group there on that bright yellow bike for drops. So that's a good representative in there. Chloe Hosking just grabbing herself a gel. It's action all the way here on stage 1. If you're just joining us, we are in Norway. We are the stage 1 from Åsgårdstrand to Horten, 128.4 kilometers. We have 3 circuits of 7.6 kilometers to go when we get in towards the finish. There's Marianne Vos. There's Lorena Wiebes right behind her. So Wiebes is the Dutch champion right behind Marianne. Marianne got the little fender going on there today as well.
Yeah, she has. And like we said, we knew she'd be in there somewhere, and she is indeed. And I can't think of many key riders who have missed this move now. And this really is made up of some absolute hitters. And Sunweb have done such a fantastic job to get all of their riders into this move. And that is what I love about Team Sunweb. They take it into their own hands. And what a great move that was.
There's Abby May just moving up for drops. So drops the British team. So Abby May Parkinson, young British rider. And again, you talk about we do talk about sort of heritage in cycling. And Abby May's mum, Lisa Brambani, was of course one of the greatest British riders I think we've ever had in this country. Kind of going from that generation through to where you all took up the mantle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really nice for Abby to have that kind of, I guess, role model in her mum. She has been racing a long time, Abby, so she knows how to ride a bike. But it's great that she's made this move and she really gets stuck into these bike races. And I know her mum likes to, give her a lot of help, motivation, support. She travels out to races with her dad. And that also always means so much to riders. I know my parents always came out and supported me. But to have that cycling knowledge and real understanding of the sport really makes a difference, because it is so brutal. It is tough to be a full-time cyclist. So yeah, great that Abby's made this move, and I hope she'll have a great tour going forward for the next 3 days.
So we know Vos is in there, we know Wiebes is in there, we know Bastianelli's in there, Corin Rivera is in this group as well. You can see Canyon Schrammel just having a word with each other. Ode Bionique in there for Team Movistar, and the rider at the back here is number 181, Micah Docks. So she's got her fans over on our chat forum on YouTube. So Micah Docks has made it in here. So fourth in the National Road Race Championships this year, the Dolcini Van Eyck Sport rider. So good mix of teams that we've got in on this one. So again, they've just got to keep the pressure on here. They built that gap. They can't now sit back, because if it would be all that work done for nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why we are seeing Sunweb on the front of this group still, because like you said, they don't want this work to be almost wasted, and they've just got into the finishing circuits now, and I think we're going to see some really super aggressive racing. Again, it's Sunweb on the front, Canyon Schramm hot on their heels, with Romy Casper looking after Chloe Hoskin from the Ale Cipollini team. Christina Margerus is looking over her shoulder, probably sussing out who's in this group, what teammates she's got left, and what their tactics will be coming up to the line.
So you can see just holding about 40 seconds at the moment is the gap between this front peloton and that chasing group behind. And so Trek Segafredo And is that Loretta Hansen on the front here? And that's working for Trek Segafredo. So we've got a good strong team in here from Trek. Ruth Winder is working hard, the American national champion. There's Lorena Wiebes. You can see the Parketel Valkenburg rider, the pink jersey, the gilet that she's got over her Dutch national champion's jersey.
It looks like Sarah Roy there on the left-hand side of the screen for Mitchelton Scott and Floortje Mackay of Sunweb coming into this left-hand bend. And this is into the finishing circuit now, so it will be more technical, fast and furious. Riders will always want to be at the front, and that naturally will mean that the pace will be high in this front group.
It's a really tough day out here. You can see this is Group 2, so we've got some of the drops riders just at the back of the group here. Those bright bikes from Team Drops. This is 1 kilometre to go in towards the finish. 40 seconds is the gap. There's not a huge amount of teams left in that back group to chase, though.
No, there's not, and that's obviously what I was talking about before. When you've got your key riders in that front group, there's not much motivation from the teams behind, and actually it can disrupt that front group. So DSs will normally say, if there's no one that's actually missed it, to just kind of sit back and get into the finish safely, which is obviously really disappointing for a lot of those riders that might have smaller teams who have got big, hopes or opportunities in this race. Unfortunately, they would have missed it, and if there's no one chasing, there's no way they're going to bring this group back.
So I just had a little glance down there on the group as they went through, just looking for Paternoster. I think she was just talking into the radio, onto the cobblestones as well, which is going to affect things. So they go through there. 22.9 to go, so we now have 3 laps of 7.6 for the finish.
That looked like a slightly uphill finish to me, and cobbles, and I feel like that's got Marianne Voss's name all over it, but
Definitely.
We'll soon see.
Caroline Canuel just going through. That's the group. Elena Emiliusik. There's Alice Barnes. So Alice Barnes on the front. This is your chasing group. So it looks like Barnes has missed this one with her teammate.
And that's a problem with being potentially too relaxed. Alice Barnes is a super phenomenal rider who has got fine form. She won both the national road race and the national time trial. But sometimes I feel she can be a bit relaxed in the race and sit too far back. And unfortunately that could have meant today that's why she's missed this move.
Data Paul Dolman's in here, so with that group and what they've got, so they have got, who would you say Paul Dolman's are working for in this one? Deirdrickson, but she seems to be doing she's very noticeable at the front again.
She is, but again, one of those riders who likes to be at the front. She's a track rider. She likes to, I think, in the technical finishes, be in control, know that she can go with moves if there are attacks, and with limited riders in this group for Boels Dolmans, they have to keep near the front. She's got Majerus as well, so I think they will go for Didrikson in the sprint. She's super experienced. She's obviously been world champion before. That was in Qatar at the World Championships a couple of years ago, and you can see here somewhere, but obviously out to be aggressive. This is Floortje Mackay giving it a really good go. That was a super attack, and that is what you need to do. Abby May Parkinson from Drops is trying to get over to her. Coming from the back, that's what you need to do. Catch everyone by surprise, get a gap, everyone looks around. And again, I think you'll see a lot of counters happening now. We're in the final few kilometres.
Is this a good time to go? Abby May has a little look around. Majerus and Barnes potentially are the riders that are with her. So Floortje Mackay. I also caught a glimpse in the group there as well of Hayley Simmons, who's from BTC City Ljubljana. So Hayley's doing well for British fans.
Yeah, another great time trial rider. I think she's got all the British records from 10 miles to 12 hours, has Hayley. So again, I'm sure she'll have her sights set on the World Time Trial Championships this year. She's had some phenomenal results in the European Games and the European Championships in the time trial. So it's really great that she's made this move. I know, speaking to her at the World Championships in Innsbruck last year, she was really trying to improve her road technical skills. So to get into a move like this today, it is a great result.
The Norwegian riders, Birgitte Ravndal, it's in there. Leah Kirschman just going on the attack here. And Bujak goes with her. So this court circuit, just to give you an idea of what they're battling against. So they go through the finish, long section of headwind up towards the top of the circuit where they swing right, and it's been a 90-degree right. Then it sweeps left where they'll have a sort of cross tailwind, and then a crosswind turn right back into where we entered the circuit, and then it'll be a crosswind from the right swinging round into a bit of a headwind finish.
Yeah, it's a really interesting circuit and very up and down it looks like, but quite covered with houses, trees. But again, it looks like teams are being really, really aggressive here. Sunweb keep counter-attacking. So I'm not sure that they're obviously that confident that Corrin can win in this sprint finish. Otherwise, I think they'd be waiting for that final lead out.
Corrin, this season, Corrin's been on the podium so many times. It's really, really rare to have a season where Corrin hasn't had a victory yet at this point in the season.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure they will be going for her in this Tour of Norway. She was third last year, and it's always nice coming into a race where you've had success the previous year. I think as a rider myself, I would always go into races that I'd ridden before, and I'd either like them or dislike them based on my result of the previous year. So for her, I'm sure she'll be coming into this race, loving the race. She knows it suits her. So yeah, I think she'll have a good result today. And you could see in this second group behind, Alice Barnes unfortunately is doing a lot of the work on her own to try and get back. And that's Rihanna Marcus from CCC Liv, the Dutch rider. She's come from skating. Her sister actually rides for the Park Hotel team. She's riding this race as well, Femke Marcus. Again, the Dutch riders are so good at riding in the wind.
You see, just keeping the pressure on here. So going through here, the Norwegian rider is, I think, Birgitte Ravendal, who's in there. There's Marianne Vos, Abby May Parkinson doing the right thing here. Just again, it's a good place to sit, isn't it, around Marianne Vos as a young rider?
It's really funny actually, because I messaged her this morning and I said, don't worry about too many different riders, but if there's one that's going to be in the right place at the right time, it's Marianne Vos. So if you can stay with her, try and do that. So yeah, she's doing a good job. And this looks like Bowles Dolman's rider, Jip van den Bos, who we were talking about earlier, another young, fantastic rider. She had a really good race here last year too.
Yeah, so I just I was just trying to pick out as many people as I could, and Jip van den Bos was definitely rider number 66 that's gone off the front here for Bull Dolmans, and it all rider down at the back here. Oh,
that looked nasty,
yeah.
But I think she was moving. She obviously wasn't unconscious there. And again, that's why a lot of these riders will like to place themselves near the front, out of trouble. Unfortunately, in weather conditions like this, the corners are slippier. People are taking risks, and it is more likely that crashes will happen. So yeah, hopefully that rider's okay.
Yeah, Gillian also, we just, when rider goes down, we just hope they're okay. As the riders here going in round this circuit, heading back towards the finish. Alechia Pellini are the team that are getting across. Just reacting to this one, the time gaps. Vos just relaxed down the back of the group here, and again just getting a little bit of reaction as Team Sunweb try and control this one. You got see that they've got the neutral service car in the gap here. Is this Romy Kasper coming across? And Ruth Winder and Trek Segafredo now reacting behind. So Romy Kasper gets onto Jip van den Bos. Trek Segafredo with, I think it's Loretta Hansen that's doing all the work on the front here for Trek Segafredo.
That was a massive turn from Jip van den Bos, and she's not even kind of, giving the sign to Romy Kasper's, oh, there it was, to come through. She has now. I don't think Romy Kasper will play ball with her because she's got Chloe Hoskin in this group, who will be up for the sprint today. So yeah, you can see it is coming back together. Romy's probably just coming off the gas a little bit here to look after her teammate behind, who will want that sprint victory.
Yeah, Chloe Hoskins coming back from, again, the last few rounds of the Women's World Tour. We had the Ride London Classic where we had that crash where Chloe Hoskins came down, Kirsten Veal deviating from her line, as they call it, and took her down. Lorena Wiebes was awarded that one. And Chloe Hoskins, she's come back really well from that crash. And I remember watching that one, and you look at Chloe Hoskins, it must have been a pretty hefty move to take out Chloe Hoskins, because she's got to be one of the best bike handlers as well out there, isn't she?
Yeah, I was commentating on the Prudential Ride London Classic, and it was a horrendous crash. For anyone who didn't see it, they were coming into the last 200 metres, and Kirsten Veal did deviate across her line, across Chloe Hoskins, and unfortunately it took out about 20 riders. It was almost like a domino effect, and unfortunately Chloe was the first to come down, and it looked super nasty. She suffered a little bit of concussion, but it's great to see her back already, only a couple of weeks later.
I think this is Marta Lack that's got on here for CCC Live, and it's Canyon SRAM now trying to get up there. So with 17.1 to go, this is a good move for all the teams that are in there in terms of kind of almost taking the pressure off again, would you say, of the sprinters behind?
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I think you can see Sunweb really working hard to close this down, because when there are a lot of the big teams represented, that really does take the pressure off their team sprinters. So teams won't be wanting to miss this move. This is a really good move now, coming into the last 16.8 kilometres a race, or 10 miles if you work in that mileage. So yeah, you can see Romy Casper here from Ale Cipollini taking over the work from CCC Live, and Team Sunweb eagerly trying to get this back.
They are indeed. So the attacks, Marta Bastianelli, you can see Bastianelli still has got the big heavy rain jacket over the top of her Italian national champions jersey. The Canyon SRAM rider, just that's got across, is Elena Cecchini potentially that's latched in here. Just trying to make out the rider there. We haven't seen them yet in this one.
Yeah, it's really hard to I think it is Amia Lusic actually, as you said. But with the big raincoats on and glasses and sort of dark weather with the rain, it's quite hard to pick them out. But this is a great move, and you can see actually the riders behind just looking at each other now, and this is when it becomes dangerous, because if they keep the pressure on at the front, the gap can come out quite a lot.
Very aggressive rider, Romy Casper, always on the attack. Here's the Ale Cipollini rider who's just swung off, just having a little bit of a chat here. We've got Tibco Silicon Valley Bank now coming across. 400 metres to go up towards the line here, so we're heading back round. We'll have 2 to go this time.
And you can see the gap to Group 2's really gone up now to 1 minute and 3 seconds. The Park Hotel team frantically talking into the radio, probably asking what to do in this situation. It looks like Shannon Mouseed from the Tibco team coming over now. I think this will come back together, but I think you're just going to see relentless racing here. It'll be one attack after another coming into the finish.
So going through, you've got Jip van den Bos, Romy Casper, Marta Lack, or just Shannon Mousey that's just got on 2 laps to go this time in towards the finish. So this group was Team Sunweb that really split the race. Leah Kirschman and Floretia Mackay were the 2 riders there. Sarah Roy wearing 75. And right alongside her is Shayla Gutierrez, a rider that we were talking about a little bit earlier on. So the Spanish sprinter as well that's got in there for Team Movistar wearing 104. So Gutierrez also making it in there, very vigilant.
Yeah, and I think it's nice for the sprinters when they get a finishing circuit. They can really suss out the finish. They can see where the wind's coming from. Obviously, the cobbles will play a factor into the finish of this race. You can see drops here on the front. With only one rider in their team, with Abby making this split, it's probably in their motivation to try and get back to this group, although I'm not sure they will now. I think it's unfortunately too late for them. But yeah, the riders can suss out the finish line, when they're going to go for it, when they're going to make their move, when there's finishing circuits in the race.
1:15, you can see the gap as we go through. 14.8 to go. Thanks for all of you for checking in on our various platforms. You just see the pressure's just gone off the front of this group a little bit as we get another attack here. Team Sunweb going again. So another move here. Is that Mackay going again in this one? Ruth Winder straight on her.
Yeah, that looks like Floretia Mackay again, Ruth Winder. These attacks are being closed so quickly. No team wants there to be gaps. And I think that might be Cassie, actually, from Canyon SRAM team, who's found herself in this small move as well. Rihanna Marcus from CCC Liv, Deirdrickson from the Bowles-Dolmans team.
So good move. Ruth Winder, the US National Road Race Champion. Marcus gets up there as well.
That is Cassia Nuadoma from the Canyon SRAM team.
So Deirdrickson right on the back. So Nuvia Doma just has a little look around here. Ode Bionique drags it back for Movistar. So as we said, we've got Shayla Gutierrez in there for Movistar. Ode Bionique is the rider, the French rider that does the lion's share of the work for Team Movistar. There's Marianne Vos in your picture. So Vos is there, and right alongside her is Paternoster. There's Paternoster there, 133. She's got her teammates around her. Is the new European Under-23 road race champion. So Paternoster has made this group. This is going to be an exciting sprint, isn't it?
This is going to be really exciting. I'm really excited, and looking at Marianne Vos there, I would not want to be sprinting her today. She looks so calm, so collected, that she's really, really ready for this. Deirdrickson there on the right from the Bowles-Dolmans team with those big glasses on, protecting them for the rain. Marjorie going for Leah Kirkman there, I think, who's just gone off the front from Team Somewhere. But again, that wasn't a super attack, in my opinion. She didn't really look like she committed to that sprint. She was just kind of riding hard on the front. But again, sometimes that's how breaks form. You can find yourself just riding hard and suddenly it's split. So you never know.
So just moving up on the outside, we're just seeing a Park Hotel Valkenburg jersey there. So Lorena Wiebes potentially has got one teammate in that group. And yeah, so many of you checking in. Thanks for all of you for getting on board on our chat forums. So glad you're enjoying our commentary. Paul Lowe, thanks for checking in. Marcus Goulart liking the new GCN YouTube channel as well. So do we. And again, little move. Flortia Mackay again with Ruth Winder, with Christine Majerus just trying to come across.
I think if there was the most aggressive rider of the day, it would have to go to Flortia Mackay here on the front for Team Sunweb. I know she's taken herself away on a lot of training camps this year. She's obviously invested into her form, and it's great to see her back at her best.
Oliver Tonda just asking on the YouTube forum, who's the strongest sprinter in the field? We've got pretty much a who's who at the moment in there.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I don't think there's actually any key sprinters in the world missing from this front group. You could argue Alice Barnes isn't here from Canyon SRAM, but I would go for Vos on this finish with the slight corner, slightly uphill, and the cobbled. But I guess Vibes, she's shown that she can sprint. Chloe Hoskins hasn't had amazing results this year, but again, one of the best sprinters in the world. Deirdrickson, ex-world champion in a sprint finish. So it's really, really hard to call. Yeah,
we've also, as we said, Paternoster, Gutierrez, Roy are all in there as well. Is this Sarah Roy just getting rid of her rain jackets? So they just call her Roy, don't they, actually, Sarah Roy? Just trying to get rid.
She can't get her arm out of this jacket.
Agonising, isn't it, when this happens?
It is, especially if it's all going off at the front. She'll want to get herself back into this group as quickly as possible. And being a sprinter, she does not want to be sprinting with that rain jacket on. It's almost like a big wind block that's going to get in her way, especially with aerodynamics coming into the sprint. So she'll be pleased that's now off. She can get herself back into the group. And it is all kicking off because this is a small group that's got away on the front. You can see Abby May Parkinson again from drops coming over. Unfortunately on her own, she's having to do all the work. But super aggressive race coming into 12 kilometres to go.
Yeah, 12k to go, 1:21. If you're just tuning in, stage one of the Ladies Tour of Norway is the Women's World Tour. We come from Vårgårda in Sweden, if you were with us last week for that one. And Sarah Roy from Mitchelton, Scott, hence why we saw Marianne Vos about 30 kilometres ago taking off for all her jackets. It's timing.
She was ready for it, wasn't she? She knew that left-hander was coming. She knew it would all kick off, and she didn't want to have to then take it off after that. So yeah, that was a fine expectation there from Vos to read the race and get that jacket off at the right time when it was easy to get back into the peloton. But Sarah Roy there, number 75, has made it to the back of this group, and my prediction is it will all come back together for the sprint.
So we've got this little group off the front here. So you've got Flortia Mackay there, and Christine Majerus, Hannah Barnes, Marta Lach, I think is the CCC rider, and Ruth Winder is the American champion. And it's down to Valkar that are doing the work to bring this one back. So Valkar maybe just watch out for Sanguinetti potentially. Sanguinetti's got a good finish. We'll see if Sanguinetti's in there. Watch out for 1:45. So Mackay looks around. So Valcar, they better have a race-winning sprinter in here. Valcar dragging this one back.
Yeah, this is a really good move from Valcar, but a great one because I think if you do miss it, all of the big teams are represented here. So she has to go for it. If she starts looking around at other teams to try and take it on, then the gap's going to go out straight away. So she's got to commit, give it her all to hopefully get this back. So then her team have got the opportunity to sprint.
So a little question as well over on from Betty over on YouTube. They're on riding the streets. Yes, the roads are closed as well for any of you watching cycling for the first time. So this is a World Tour race. All the roads are closed, so don't worry about that one. Bob Ferguson offering their cameraman offering to take the jacket. Yeah, I think the cameraman's got a good souvenir there for after that one. But coming in towards 10 kilometers to go, little breakaway group just trying to creep off the front here in Norway. So from Åsgårdstrand to Horten today, 128.4 kilometers. It really had luckily the rain not quite as heavy as it was earlier on, but as you said, it was Valcar that were doing the work to try and bring this one back. Now it looks like Bionic from Movistar again coming through towards the front. And again, in that situation, Valcar, the Valcar rider, one rider on top, they had to close the gap to this little breakaway really quickly. You don't want to just sit there and grind it out.
No, exactly. You want to get the gap closed as quickly as possible. And if you're going to drag the whole peloton across, you want to do it even quicker. But it looks like Ord Bianic from the FDJ team has done an outstanding bit of riding here. She's managed to get across on her own. She's caught everyone by surprise and she's done it super quickly. So she's invested a lot of her power. She must have done a big max sprint, a big effort of potentially up to 1 minute, but it's paid off because she's made the back of this group and she can sit on, catch her breath before then deciding whether she wants to invest in helping these group of riders now try and stay away. And I think she will because it's perfect for her.
So they just now you see Mitchelton Scott, the yellow and black jerseys up towards the front. They know they've got Sarah Roy in that group. She's their sprinter. Lucy Kennedy, we caught a glimpse of. There was the rider I think is dragging the group across here. And Lucy Kennedy, of course, taking that standout victory in the San Sebastian Classic, the introduction of that one. Bionic into the breakaway group. That just adds a little bit of reinforcement to this one. Mitchelton Scott again. They're going to want to try and get this one back as quickly as possible. Really now grinding that gear across that gap.
Yeah, and Lucy Kennedy's done an incredible job. She's really closed a lot of this gap, and it looked like she's done that all on her own, kind of 1 against 7 here. So it only looks like a handful of seconds that this front group have got, and the Mitchelton Scott team will have a lot to thank Lucy Kennedy for, because she definitely won't be sprinting into the finish. She is a super, super climber. She nearly had a stage victory in the Giro, which me and Marty were actually commentated on, which heartbreakingly enough for her, she got caught just on the line by Marianne Vos, who had an incredible finish. But she did a great job there. Look, it all has come back together with 8 kilometres to go. So it really is anyone's race here now.
It is indeed. 500 metres, 400 metres in towards the line. They're going to get the bell when they come through this time. You can just see the riders. Again, if you're watching cycling for the first time because of our Facebook and YouTube platforms, you might have happened across for the first time. Every time you see a rider sort of grabbing their jersey and looking down, they're talking in to their radios. And it was Monique Teniglo that actually dragged that group back. Monique was the rider that was caught on the final lap of Volgada, and they're going to go through it and get the bell this time. Bionic flicks the elbow, the Movistar rider, as 1:45 is the gap back from this leading group with 1 lap to go here. So that sprint, you can see the cobblestones as well. Do you think the slick cobblestones could pose a problem for this sprint?
I don't think it will, because it looked relatively straight. There was a slight bend in the road, but when there's corners and cobbles, that's when it is absolutely carnage, especially in the wet. But I don't think it will have much of a bearing on the sprint finish, essentially. But I must apologise for thinking it was Lucy Kennedy, because Monique did a fantastic job there. They are quite similar in stature, very tall, slight riders. So that was a fantastic job there to neutralise this front group. And again, this is where it becomes dangerous. Riders can catch the group by surprise, come from the back and really, really launch an attack. So you can see riders at the front really looking around. And again, it's Sunweb who are going again on the attack with Leah Kirkman.
So Leah Kirkman goes Jip van den Bos straight on her again. CCC Marta Lack with Audrey Cordon-Rago, the French rider that attacks and gets onto that group. On this situation as well, there's always a sort of momentary lull, isn't there? Where it's that moment to go. If it's going to come down to a group sprint, it's going to come down to a group sprint. But there's always a pause, isn't there? There's always a moment where the pressure just goes off, and that's the moment where you've got to go.
Yeah, and like I said, that is the most dangerous part. So if you are going to go on the attack or going to counter attack, you need to look when it's coming back. Aim yourself near the back to catch your riders by surprise to then get a gap. And that's why you are seeing riders like Jip van den Bos at the front there, just looking around, marshalling the front, policing the front, so that if anyone does go on the attack, you can get on it straight away. Because what you don't want is a situation where there is a gap and then everyone's looking at each other. I don't want to chase, you chase, and that's when it gets away. You can see the drops riders on the front frantically trying to get this back, but unfortunately with over 2 minutes now, they've missed it, and they're going to have to hope that Abby can get up there in the sprint.
Floortje Mackaij goes again for Team Sunweb. As Danny said, the most aggressive rider today. And over on our forum as well, Lorenzo Pantardi just saying, you like how English and Americans say Giro. We're supposed to really overpronounce it. Apologies for that. We will.
Giro.
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 Yeah, we'll do our best. Yeah.
Not Giro.
Yeah, sorry. We're anglifying everything. Noel Mafori's predicting Corin Rivera to win today. It's a good bet. It's a good one. My prediction is Abby May's going to take a flyer on this finishing circuit for drops in a similar manner to she did in the first stage of the OVO Energy Women's Tour.
I hope she does try it, because she has been working on her sprint, but that will be her best bet of a result here. And again, somewhere they are out on the attack today for sure.
So they're going again. So the Team Sunweb going on the offensive. 6 kilometres to go, 2 minutes. What we got to point out here, it's not just the stage here, 2 minutes. It means that the winner of this year's Tour of Norway is coming from this group.
Yeah, 100%. And that was something actually I was going to mention earlier. I think, we saw last year the gaps were so small, 22, 23 seconds. But this looks like it could be over for the group behind in terms of the GC. These 20 or so riders, I believe that the winner will come from this group.
Marianne Vos moving up there in the orange jersey with the rainbow bands just on the bottom of the cuffs of her jersey. Audrey Cordon-Rago alongside her. Here come Park Hotel Valkenburg. So Lorena Wiebes has got one rider in front of her. She's the Dutch national champion. You can see the red shoulders, the white and blue jersey. For me, this is a little bit early for Park Hotel Valkenburg to be on the front with just one rider.
It is, and that was actually Rihanna Marcus's sister, Femke Marcus, who has come from speed skating. She's trying to juggle the two at the moment, but I think she's going to focus purely on cycling. And the sports really transfer well, strong lower limbs with your legs being the predominant, obviously, muscle group. And again, Floortje Mackaij is going. But again, great to see the young rider from Park Hotel in this group riding for her teammate today. I'm sure they'll be going for Wiebes in the sprint.
Mackaij goes again. The best Dutch-Scottish named rider out there. We have like to claim her. Jip van den Bos reacts again. So Sunweb, Floortje Mackaij here is throwing everything at this one. For Floortje, she's again not a great sprinter, but she's a great classics rider. When she gets away, if she could just get herself a few seconds in the bag, she could be a real danger in come the end of stage 4.
Yeah, she could, but I'm actually questioning the tactics now from the Sunweb team in these closing stages of the races. I think if it was a one-day race, I'd understand, but attacking like this is really going to dampen their legs for the next 3 stages. They're really relentless with their attacks, and with a sprinter of such a calibre with Corin Rivera, I think if I was DS, I'd be trying to put all my eggs into that basket. I think Splitting it up on the crosswind section was fantastic, the perfect scenario. But now I think they need to sit back and wait for that sprint.
So looking around the front of this group, Marcus up there, and you've got Majerus, Deirdrickson is well to the front, Paternoster, I think we caught a glimpse of as well for Trek Segafredo. So you've got to be, and again, in the women's pro peloton, you've got to be very good at freelancing the sprints. You don't see the big lead outs a lot of the time.
No, exactly, and you really need to know how to position yourself if you do get caught out and you don't have teammates. And Rihanna Marcus is such a strong time trial rider. You'll probably see her now taking this all the way into the finish. You can see Team Sunweb coming up on the left-hand side of your screen, and what they're really good at, we saw in Ride London, is they'll sit back, and when they move to the front, they'll come as one unit. They won't just try and kind of find each other throughout the peloton. They'll slip back to the back, find each other, and come forward, and that's exactly what they've done here. And it's a super example of incredible bike racing and teamwork.
Now Team Sunweb, you can see Corin Rivera down the centre of the group there, and Deirdrickson just on the outside, Mitchelton Scott, Chloe Hosking we're seeing up towards the front as well. Here comes Teniglo through the centre, Wiebes, the Dutch champion for Park Hotel Valkenburg, just trying to find her way through. 3.4 kilometres in towards the finish. We've already seen it now on multiple occasions. Voss straight through that big puddle there, and you can see Sarah Roy's just latched herself onto the wheel of Marianne Voss with Shannon Malseed right behind her.
Yeah, and Voss has obviously come up with no teammates at the moment. You had Rihanna Marcus there on the front, but now she's surfing on the wheel of Deirdrickson, having a look around, seeing who's there, whose wheel she wants to pick for this finish. You've got Leticia Paternoster there, the smaller rider on Deirdrickson's wheel from the Trek Segafredo team. Her team are here coming up. That's Loretta Hansen and Audrey Cordon-Rigaud, probably trying to find their sprinter in Leticia Paternoster. The Valcar team are coming up. This is going to be a super exciting finish with less than 3k to go now.
You can see Sunweb on the left of your picture there in the red jerseys with the 2 white stripes. Right behind them, Leticia Paternoster, Lorena Wiebes, Teniglo right behind her, Voss in the orange, Chloe Hosking is there. So they're all just riding high, surfing the lead out here of Team Sunweb. Corin Rivera's got all of the team on the front. 2.5 kilometres to go in towards the finish. Remember, you've got these corners that you've got to line up for as well. Lots of surface water for the riders to negotiate. Oh, rider down there. So a big crash on the corner. Chloe Hosking comes out of that corner, has a look back. So now Hosking, Paternoster and Wiebes have just got themselves off the front. And that's the problem, isn't it? When it's just starting to dry out, you've got the diesel on the roads as well. That looked like a nasty one.
Yeah, it did. And that was just purely, I think, too much speed going into the corner, just slipped out. You saw the wheels go in there, and unfortunately she has hit that central reservation. She's taken out a teammate. A couple of others actually who didn't hit those riders but probably slammed their brakes on, looking up, seeing other riders crashing in front of them, trying to avoid it. But it's good, you can see these 2 riders are up. They should get the same time as the front group because it is in the last few kilometres of the bike race. This group has split up now, so this is all for the finish.
Koch and Labousse are both up, so great seeing them up. Bionic comes through. Majerus with Deirdrickson, Paternoster, Hosking. Bionic is there, looking around for Shayla Gutierrez. Casper trying to come up. There's Marianne Voss. Marta Bastianelli is right with her. Bastianelli is the rider that you can see there with the black rain jacket on. You can just see the Italian national champion stripes just around her shorts. Majerus trying to lead out. Here comes Kirkman trying to bring it back through. But Chloe Hosking on the left of your picture there in the bright yellow of LA Cipollini's got one rider in front of her. Coming out of that corner, Hosking did the right thing there, just looking back just to see where everyone was okay and making sure that she's got the teammates. A little bit too far out for her to go.
Yeah, just resetting herself there. She's got Romy Casper, but this is a long way to go for her, for one rider to take Chloe all the way to the line. So I think what we'll see is Romy Casper will lose the speed and Chloe will have to then surf on other sprinters' wheels into the finish. You can see Marianne Voss here. She wants to be near the front. On this technical finish, it's wet, there's cobbles. They need to set themselves up here for the finish, be safe and get there so they can sprint.
1 kilometre to go now. It's Marianne Vos's team. Marta Lack on the front there. These are the riders just chasing back on. As Danny said, if you go down within 3 kilometres from the finish, you get the same time as the winner. Hoskins is right on the wheel. Deirdrickson, Wiebes, Voss, Bastianelli. Here comes Sarah Roy for Mitchelton Scott, just lining up through these corners. Marta Lack again doing a great job leading out. 500 metres to go now up towards the finish. This big lead out. Chloe Hosking trying to profit from the lead out here that's destined for Marianne Vos. 400 metres to go up towards the line. Who's going to be the first rider to make their move through these final twists and turns? Hosking now makes a move for Elaine Cipollini. Has Hosking timed this one perfectly? Deirdrickson is there. Wiebes, Paternoster trying to come up. They'll switch around to the front angle. Chloe Hosking, Wiebes trying to come through. Wiebes finds her way through for Park Hotel Valkenburg. Lorena Wiebes takes it from Chloe Hosking. Chloe Hosking goes long from that bottom corner. Great lead out from them. Wiebes, we said she's been looking tired. She's definitely not tired today.
She is not tired. That was an incredible sprint there from Wiebes. I think Chloe did the right thing there with a technical finish around that last corner with Cobble. She committed to that sprint, but she just couldn't match Wiebes, who came round her with such a strong finish there. Voss got slightly boxed in at the finish, but what a finish there from this rider, Lorena Wiebes. She's had some season.
She has indeed. She is, when we say sensation of the season, and she is. She's just 20 years old, isn't she, Lorena Wiebes? And, you know, when you look through, and again, as a sprinter, let's just take you through this one. Hosking went long. Look at where she comes from.
So far out. Amelie Deirdrickson on Chloe's wheel there. And she came from miles away. I think Deirdrickson just picked Chloe there on the line. Chloe third, Leticia Paternoster fourth, and I think that was Marianne Vos who was fifth in that sprint. But what a race. What a fantastic stage one of the Ladies Tour of Norway. We had it all. Wind, rain, echelons, sprint finishes. This is why I love commentating on women's racing.
It is Lorena Wiebes. There you have it. But if we take you through her season, we saw her for the first time. She won Knocker course earlier on in the season. Took a couple of seconds, 3 days of Dupana, Gent Wevelgem as well, onto the Healthy Aging Tour Best Young Rider. But from there, Umloop van Borsele, she took that one, took a stage of the Tour of Yorkshire, then on to the Tour of Chongmi Island, where she did a Voss, I think we could call that one. Took all of the stages in that race, and I think she owes her lead out there to Marta Lack. I think she owes her stage victory to that one. But Lorena, Tour of Chongming Island, all of the stages, the general classification, the points, and the Best Young Riders jersey she took in that one. Onto the Diamond Tour, she won that. She won the European Games, as you said earlier on, National Road Race Champions. But it's the consistency throughout the season as well. That is a really, really tough thing to do, to be winning all season long.
Yeah, it's so impressive from this young rider. She's obviously got a lot of morale from the start of the season, and she's really, really gone through, and she's been so consistent.
So there you have it. The rider's just crossing the line there. We'll just wait for our confirmation of our stage result. What a great stage. We are here all week, by the way, as well, on both Facebook and YouTube as well. Thanks for all your input and your comments as well. Great to know that so many of you are along on both platforms. We have the Colorado Classic coming up later on. Here's confirmation of our stage results. So Lorena Wiebes takes it from Chloe Hosking, Amelie Deirdrickson, Leticia Paternoster, Marianne Vos, Suzanne Anderson, Shayla Gutierrez, Sarah Roy, Marta Bastianelli, and Eugenie Duval getting herself up there in 10th. So most of the riders that were we mentioned throughout the day today, all up there in your top 10. And of course, Lorena Wiebes will also take the leader's jersey, the bonus seconds in that one, and potentially line this one up for the days to come. But yeah, the Colorado Classic, that's coming up in a couple of hours' time. And just to pre-warn you as well, if you tune in for Colorado Classic, you'll have to bear with us on that one, because the host broadcasters have let us know, because of where they are in Colorado, they're going to have some blackouts. So if you get on board on the questions, and also on Twitter, we'll have Ask Danny, and we might throw in a few competitions as well, just to, so stay with us. We won't bore you too much on the gaps between the racing. So tune in for that one. The chasing group coming in, some time lost there today on that one.
Yeah, bad day out, unfortunately, from this group, and it's a huge group. It's actually almost half of the peloton, it looked like. So, unfortunately, they'll probably have a talking to by their DSs later to ask them why they missed that crucial move on that left-hand turn where Sunweb got all their riders together and just committed to split that group apart. And what an unfortunate day for that team. They really took hold of this race with starting that echelon early, being super attackive in the last few kilometres of the race in the finishing circuits, and then unfortunately were wiped out by that horrible crash coming into the finish, and unfortunately none of their riders then finishing in the top 10.
Unfortunately, here to take you through the action of the day. So that was the first intermediate sprint. Lisa Klein taking that one ahead of Emily Moberg, Hannah Barnes and Rianne Marcus. And this was the Queen of the Mountains point, which was at 94.8 kilometres to go. That was Lucy Kennedy that took that ahead of Rosella Ratto, Soraya Paladin and Taylor Wiles, getting herself up there in fourth on that one. On to the second QOM of the day at 58.6 to go. That was Soraya Paladin that took that one ahead of Elena Emiliasuk. And Lucy Kennedy and Rosella Ratto getting themselves up there. That was the summit of that one. So 4, 3, 2 and 1 point on the Hanekleiva. So I'll get my pronunciation correction on that one if I got that one wrong. Intermediate sprint in Åsgårdstrand. And that was Emily Moberg that took that one ahead of Lisa Klein. And Emily Moberg, Lisa Klein, there you go, 4, 3, 2 and 1 points on that one. Hopefully we'll get a replay here as well. This was it. Team Sunweb coming through on this one. Corin Rivera up towards the front. They didn't show us the move. It was out of that corner. This was the little tumble going in, but we just saw that the riders had picked themselves up, which was great to see. She took a bit of a hefty whack into the central reservation there, but we saw the riders getting up. Marta Lack, though, what a lead out from the CCC live rider.
That was a great lead out, but unfortunately she didn't have Marianne Vos on her wheel. I think if she had you would have seen potentially a different stage winner, but you can see she really committed here. Vos was just caught out there at the finish and a little bit boxed in, but perfect lead out for Chloe Hoskins, who launched her sprint off the wheel. Here you can see a fantastic move there. Amelie Deirdrichsen on the wheel, and Vibes coming from quite far back to take that victory.
I think you could say Weebus there, which is Deirdrichsen, Paternoster were there as well, punched a hole in that group. That was the way she found her way through. Great victory for Park Hotel Valkenburg. What a season that team are having. So a phenomenal ride there. So that took you through. You can just see the back wheel there just skipping around on those slick cobblestones. But the Dutch national champion comes through to take that one. So some good replays of the day. There's Weebus just crossing the line and really gapped them. There's Chloe Hosking. The throw to the line, as we always say. It's so important, isn't it, that throw to the line?
Oh yes, very important. And we always got taught that, especially in track sprinting, but you wouldn't want to think that you lost the race because you didn't kind of lunge for the line and get those couple of extra centimetres when you can get that tyre over the line first.
So there's the so there we are. It's back to us. So thank you for all your comments and input today, and thank you to Danny for her insights. So it's 133.6 kilometers go from tomorrow from Mirsch to Askim. As we said, we've got a double day here on GCN Racing. We are back with the Colorado Classic a little bit later on. Great stage though, got to say. Let's sum that one up. Lorena Wiebes really profiting from the lead out there of Marta Lack that was destined for Marianne Vos.
She definitely did, but again, like you say, what a fantastic day of bike racing. There really was everything. Wind, rain. Sunweb did a great job in splitting up the peloton with that great move after that left-hand bend, a crosswind section. They really committed, split the team in half, and then really attacking relentless finishing circuits at the end there, and a fantastic sprint finish on cobble. So it really did have everything. I'm super excited about tomorrow's stage.
That's Norway
already.
though, isn't it? We love Norway. We've Danny's ridden this one. I've only done it in the team car as a sport director, so I love Norway. It's a great race. As we said, we're back a little bit later on for the Colorado Classic. If you love the Ladies Tour of Norway, join us for more action tomorrow. From Danny Rowe and me, Martin McDonald. See you soon. Bye for now.